Hello, friends. I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's fantastic. Everything here is great. And I did not fix the audio issue from yesterday, so I have turned the audio down slightly, and hopefully that means we don't get a bunch of crackly, nasty, spiky audio. Um, Yesterday we talked about the top. I actually decided I'm not going to put a second coat of stain on it. I put the top on the bench or on the table, and I kind of like it. It's a two-tone look. It's got that kind of cherryish, reddish hue of the Douglas fir for the base, and the top is like a kind of a creamy white, and I think it looks attractive. So I think I'm just going to leave it. The tried and true oil I put on it will darken it a little bit, but I think I like the look. And so yesterday when I came down here, or right before coming down here, I had an idea for a video, or not a video, but I had a talkie idea, something that we could talk about. And through the process of telling you about the top, I was thinking about it, and then here we are today. I have no clue what it possibly could have been about. The only thing I can think of is I listened to yesterday's episode of This American Life, which was about quitting stuff, quitting cigarettes, quitting whatever, and I have quit a lot of things in my life, and so I consider myself an expert on quitting. But that wasn't it. But we're going to do it anyway, because I did quit cigarettes. And so the opening of yesterday's This American Life was about a book that was written by a British man, I forget his name, called Quitting the Easy Way or something like that. Quit Smoking the Easy Way or whatever. And apparently this book has helped lots and lots of people. And the premise is, from what I understand, the book walks you through the reasons that you say you smoke and disproves them. Says, no, that's complete BS. You're just telling yourself that to justify the act, right? And the position of the reporter on that story was that that's not the case at all. Like, he is physically ill when he stops. Like, it physically hurts him, and he hasn't been smoking for 7 months now, and he constantly thinks about it in this book series, or this book, and the seminars that this company puts on says that that's all crap. Like, that's not real. You're just making that up. And he's like, no, I'm not. He's like, I want to quit, but I feel like I can't, and so I feel like I'm broken. And I smoked. I think I started smoking heavily. Started smoking a lot when I was about 15 or 16. I think I first smoked when I was about 14, maybe even 13. There was some kids that lived on the hill above my grandfather's house that were not great influences. That whole area where my grandfather grew up, or not grew up, well, maybe he did grow up out there, where my mom grew up, where my grandfather and grandmother lived, it's pretty rough. In a rural West Virginia kind of rough. I don't mean it's rough as in like it's a bad neighborhood. There's like 10 people. Like, it's not really a neighborhood. I mean, it is, but it's more country rough, meaning that there's no money, and so everybody out there is like trying to find a way to make money and doing things that are, it was difficult. So I started smoking, and I smoked all the way until I was 25. I smoked all throughout the military, a lot, and I always very much enjoyed it. I really enjoyed smoking. And counter to the reporter on the episode, I never felt addicted to cigarettes, meaning that I would just forget to smoke for a weekend or a week or whatever. And we're talking like in the military, I was probably smoking a pack and a half a day. I smoked a lot, so I should have been chemically addicted to nicotine. Um, but I just never, it never really did much for me other than I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the act, I enjoyed uh, the feeling. I somewhat enjoyed the smell, but now that I don't smoke, I can tell you that that is BS. I don't enjoy the smell at all. I never really enjoyed the taste. I think anybody who says that is probably just fooling themselves, unless you're smoking menthols or something. But menthols had their own version of harshness. Um, but I never felt like a slave to nicotine. I never, in 20 years of smoking, I never felt once did I ever feel a nicotine fit. I don't even know what that is. Like it didn't. It's not a thing for me. And when I quit the day that my kid was born. So she was born in October of 2004, and I smoked a couple of cigarettes that day and then threw the rest of my pack away, and that was it because I didn't want to be a hypocrite. I didn't want to tell her that she couldn't do it while I was doing it. And it was not a problem. That was it. It was over. And so the reporter on This American Life says that that's just not possible for him. And this book author and the seminars and the people that work for his company say, yeah, it is. You're mentally addicted. You're a slave to your own desires, and you're whatever. And so I can see kind of both sides, right? So let's transition now. Let's step forward to 2020. We all know what happened that year. Prior to 2020, from about the same time, 14, 15, 16, I started drinking coffee heavily, like 1 to 2 pots a day. For those of you who aren't in America, that's like 10 to 20 cups of coffee a day. Maybe even more, maybe 30. I don't know. Like I would just wake up, just coffee. That's all I drank. I never really liked soda. I don't like sweets that much. So I never liked soda that much. I would drink water, and sometimes I would get on a tea kick and drink tea for a while. But I drank 10 to 20 cups of coffee every single day. From 15 to 2020, I was 41. So like 25 years, 26 years, something like that. And around that time, I was having some kidney issues, and my doctor told me that I needed to stop drinking that much coffee. And so I didn't. I kept drinking. I probably cut back some, but when I stopped working in an office where a pot of coffee was always available all the time, all day long, when I got to working from home and I had to pay for my own coffee, full price, all that sort of stuff, I was like, you know what, I'm going to cut back. And I started drinking 2 cups a day. And again, I feel like I could just walk away from coffee and it wouldn't affect me. There are times where I just don't drink it. Like when, sometimes you go on vacation or whatever and it's just not readily available. That's fine. I just won't have it. Or I go to Malia's family's house and they don't have coffee. Like whatever, no big deal. But it's a routine that I am so invested in, meaning that in the morning, coffee is a part of my morning like meditation ritual. So I wake up and I have my coffee to meditate, and then right before my daily meeting at 9:15, I have a cup of coffee. That just seems kind of like what you would do if you were in the office. Like, let's all get together. Okay, I'm going to have a cup of coffee while we talk. It's more the ritual than anything. And I think it was the same thing for me with nicotine. It's been the same thing with me and most things that I've never been good at being addicted to things. I've never, meaning that I don't feel a need. There's things that I enjoy, and so I do it, and it's a conscious decision, and I could consciously decide not to. And it might take a small amount of willpower because my brain's like, but I really like that. And I go, I don't care. It's strange to me to think that this reporter who successfully quit smoking 7 months later is still physically in pain because of it. Like, he'll have nicotine fits that cause him to suffer. And I think that's, I think like anything, it's a fallacy to assume that the same thing works for everybody, because it doesn't, and it never has, and it never will. We're all different. And I've recently learned that there is a particular gene marker that means that caffeine has very little effect on you. And I think I'm that person. I think me and my sister both. My sister's the same way. She could drink a pot of coffee in a couple hours and have no problems. Other people will say if they were to drink that much, they'd be jittery and no, it doesn't. I can drink. I will sometimes literally have coffee right before going to sleep. Like, I'll just have a cup of coffee and then I'll go to sleep. No big deal. Doesn't affect me at all. I think that could be the same thing for other chemicals, that I'm just, there are people who don't have the problems, and then there are people who are heavily dependent. All this is to say, if you're having a problem with nicotine or caffeine or whatever it might be, there are ways for you to get help, and you should probably seek that out and stop procrastinating because your health is more important than anything. We're only here for a short time, so try to make the best of it and try to make it last as long as you can. Seek some help. Find somebody to talk to. It could be, maybe you're addicted to food, and weight is a problem. There are ways out of that. And I think that if you're interested in learning about quitting, you could go listen to the This American Life episode from yesterday. I think that it gives some good perspective into two very different ways of approaching something. Okay, that was depressing. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know to sound smart is rigmarole. It is a noun meaning absurdly complicated procedures and instructions, a bunch of unnecessary baloney. The club had some value to him in his business, but he quickly grew tired of the rigmarole at meetings. Rigmarole, R-I-G-A-M-A-R-O-L-E. I've used that word and I've heard that word a lot in my life. I don't know where I got it from, but it's honestly not a very uncommon word to me.